Good morning, third graders. Today we are going to continue with our chapter on lines and angles. And today we'll go over lesson 17.2, which is all about right angles. So if we look at our lesson objectives, we're going to make a right angle, we're going to compare angles to a right angle, and we're going to identify right angles in plane shapes. And remember, plane shapes mean flat or two-dimensional shapes. Our vocabulary over here, we see right angle with the symbol that shows us what a right angle looks like. We also have greater than and less than, okay? So if we look at this first learn section, it says make a right angle and compare it other angles to it. So Mia folded a sheet of paper twice to make an angle like this. So if you see in where she finished folding, if you look in the corner of that folded paper, it makes a right angle, and you can see that with the little box in the corner that tells us it's a right angle, okay? It makes that perfect square in the corner. The corner of the folded paper is a right angle. You can check for a right angle and mark it as shown. So if you take a look, if you drew lines, you would see it would perfectly make a box in the corner. You can also use a piece of paper to check if other angles are greater than or less than a right angle. So now that she has that folded piece and it makes a right angle, she can put it inside other angles and see, is this angle a right angle? Is it greater than a right angle, or is it less than a right angle? So if we take a look at angle A, we know that it's greater than a right angle because that piece of paper fits in there and angle A is bigger than it, okay? And if we look at angle B, we put the piece of paper over it and it's bigger than the angle. So angle B is less than a right angle, okay? So now we're going to do some practice together. Compare the angles, use a piece of paper to help you if you need to. So if you're not sure if it makes a right angle, just grab a piece of paper and one of those corners is going to be a right angle, and it will help you decide if these angles are right angles, greater than right angles, or less than right angles. So number 1 says, which angles are the same size as right angles? So taking a look, I can see that A is, C is, and D is. These should be commas. Which angles are greater than right angles? So if we put a piece of paper, which of the angles would be greater than the corner of that piece of paper? I can see that B is and F is. Which angle, this is giving us a clue, there's only one. Which angle is less than a right angle? And I can see that angle E is less than a right angle. If you have some time, you can do this hands-on activity. You need drawing paper, paper fasteners, and paper strips. You can label them 1 and 2. Here are the directions. You're going to use one set of strips, paste strip 2 on drawing paper, fasten strip 1 onto strip 2 so that only strip 1 moves. Turn strip 1 to form an angle as shown below. So use the strips to make a right angle, make an angle less than a right angle, make an angle greater than a right angle, and then make an angle which is about twice as large as a right angle. So your bottom strip of paper is not going to move. You would just move that top one, and you can make all sorts of angles to play with. Okay, this is the last part that we'll do together, and then you have some work on a Google slide for your Let's Practice that will be handed in today. So find right angles in plane shapes. This is a square. Remember, it's flat, it's two-dimensional. The sides of a square meet to form right angles. Every single corner of that square is formed into a right angle. And we could tell if we took a piece of paper and fit the corner right in there, it would exactly fit inside the square. So it says find the number of right angles in each shape. You can use a piece of paper to help you. Taking a look at number 4, I'm looking at this angle. Looks smaller than a right angle. This angle also looks smaller than a right angle. And this one looks bigger than a right angle. So that one has 0 right angles. You can also use those grids to help you. You can see that one does not form exactly in the shape of one of those squares, so there are no right angles. If I take a look at this shape, this is not a right angle, it's too small. This is not a right angle, it's too big, but I have 1, 2. This shape has 2 right angles. And then taking a look at the third shape, number 6. This is a right angle. This one's not. This one's not. This one is. This one's not, and this one's not. This one also has 2 right angles. Okay, if you have a geoboard, this is an option, so you could pause this lesson so you can read those directions. Geoboards are something that we have at school and you probably don't have at home. There's something that you can put rubber bands on to make different shapes. So if you have them, pause the video so you can read the directions and do the activity. If you don't, that's okay. You can go right on to the Let's Practice activity. It's on Google Slides today. So remember, you'll be typing in the text boxes over those blanks, okay? You don't need to write in the notes of the slide, you can write right on the slide. So hand that in when you're finished and let me know if you have questions.